I'm Steve Rader Ginsburg, and I'm the director of the Ottorino Center for the Arts and Humanities at the University of St. Joseph in West Hartford, Connecticut. The original and unceded lands of the Mohegan, Pequot, Scatchitoches, Golden Hill Pagessett, Nipmuc, Lenape, and all the unrecognized Algonquin people of this area. We honor their ancestors past, present, and future, and recognize their continued existence and contributions to society. This year continues to be an unusually challenging year for the arts and artists and our ability to gather together as a community. Thanks to our program funders, the National Endowment for Humanities, and those of you who have generously donated to support and make possible continued free virtual programming. Today's concert, Sounds of Persia, features Dr. Dariush Saghafi, a world-renowned master of Persian santoor, a world premiere by Dr. Reza Vali. Music is performed by the Ottorino Center for the Arts Artist in Residence Cuatro Puntos Ensemble. This concert celebrates the release to the Sounds of Persia album, available starting today on Arkadesh Records. Enjoy the concert, and please join us for more virtual free programs, and you can RSVP at ottorino.usj.edu. Thank you.
Good afternoon from the beautiful Connor Chapel at the University of St. Joseph in West Hartford, Connecticut. My name is Kevin Bishop, and I am director of Cuatro Puntos. Part of the mission of Cuatro Puntos is to bring guest artists from around the world to Hartford, particularly those who are culture bearers of threatened or marginalized art forms. Today you'll have the opportunity to meet Dariush Saghafi and Reza Vali. These are two artists who we've worked with for several years, and in fact, Cuatro Puntos Ensemble has already recorded and released an album, including music of Reza Vali. It's called Jaipur to Cairo, and you're welcome to find it on Spotify, or you're welcome to support the musicians by ordering a CD. In fact, you can find on the digital stage page, if you're there now, if you scroll down, you'll see information about the artists as well as the albums. Today we're celebrating the imminent release of another album, including Reza and Dariush and Cuatro Puntos Ensemble, titled Sounds of Persia. And this one will be released in just a few weeks, and you are welcome to support the musicians by ordering that CD using the links below. So, today at the end of the performance, we will have the opportunity for a question and answer with Reza and Dariush, and we welcome you to put your questions in the chat box, and we will do our best to answer them. If you're currently on our digital stage page, you can put those questions in the blue chat box below this box where you're watching. And if you happen to be tuning in on Facebook or YouTube, we will also see your questions or comments if you put them in there. So we welcome dialogue as we go along. So without further ado, I would like to welcome to the stage, to the digital stage, Mr. Dariush Saghafi, who will be performing live from his home in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Persian music, music of Iran. Traditional Persian music is a part of a rich and vibrant culture that is more than 2,000 years old. Today, this music is presented as a radif. Radif is a repertoire of melodic and rhythmic structure based on ancient and contemporary musical composition from throughout Iran. The radif is like a series of great books. The series has 7 basic plots called Dastgâh, 5 chapters called Avaz, and numerous subplots called Gushe. Persian poetry and music are closely intertwined in both vocal and instrumental performances. The lyric basis of the composition is traditional Persian music in classical or contemporary Persian poetry. The rhythmic structure of the music is mostly based on the form of poetry called aruz, which consists of a cycle of short and long syllables. The santoor is said to have been originated in Persia or Mesopotamia. Santoor is displayed in Assyrian carving dating back to 660 BC. The santoor or hammered dulcimer is found in China, India, Iran, Middle East, Greece, Eastern Europe, Ireland, and North America, and many other countries. The most common design of the santoor has 72 strings. The instrument is played with two wooden mallets called mizrab. Two wooden mallets called mizrab. This poses a barrier between the performer and the instrument. Overcoming this barrier is the fundamental display of mastering performance on the santoor. My performance today is in Dastgâh-Magham.
Hello. Good afternoon. If you are in Eastern United States, good morning. If you are in Western Hemisphere, and good evening if you are in Iran. So whatever time zone you are, just my greetings to you. I am Reza Vali, and I wanted to give you a little bit of the background about the piece that you will be hearing. The title of the piece is called Dashti, Calligraphy Number 18. And the piece was written for the Cuatro Puntos, and I wrote it in 2019. In about 21 years ago, in year 2000, I broke away from the European music system. That means the European tuning, anything with the art, European art, the tuning, the form, the aesthetic, and started composing with the Iranian system, which is called Dastgâh-Magham, or DM system. To test the system, I started writing a series of pieces under the title of calligraphy with a number. So calligraphy number 1, calligraphy number 2, number 3, etc. This is calligraphy number 18. For our Iranian friends, calligraphy number 1 to 12 has been released by the Mahur Institute of the Arts. Also for our American and European friends, calligraphies 1 to 12 has been released on the Albany Records. And this is, as I said, this is calligraphy number 18, and it's called Dashti. Dashti is a mode in Iranian Dastgâh-Magham system. It's a very beautiful mode, and it's very popular. Used a lot in folk music in Iran, also in the art music in Iran, and a lot of music is written in this mode. So I use the mode in this piece. Also, another thing that is unusual for the string quartet medium is, but not unusual in Iranian both folk music and art music, is that the musicians do multitasking. That means they actually play and sing at the same time. This is a tradition that is very usual in Iranian, both Iranian art music and folk music, that musicians do singing while playing. You know, they don't have to be professional singers, so they do. You know, they act like a background chorus for the lead singer, or sometimes they repeat a refrain. And so I took this tradition and actually kind of put it in the string quartet medium. And so you will hear that the string quartet, our colleagues, both play and sing at the same time. And so although you might hear the singing going in and out, but it never stops. That means they actually sing from the beginning of the piece until the end while they are playing. So I will take this opportunity and thank my colleagues of the Cuatro Puntos Ensemble. They did a fantastic, this is a challenging work, and I really thank them from the bottom of my heart for all the works that they have done for rehearsing and performing this piece. Thank you.
Hello, I want to thank you so much for the opportunity to work together and to play this music together. It's so amazing to hear both of your music. So we have a couple.
You're all a great performance of my piece. And did my friends realize how great they're playing all the microtones? This is amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much. I was wondering, we have a bunch of questions. I was wondering if you could just kind of tell us all a little bit about your own musical background from each of you. If you could just tell us like how you came to be who you are today as a musician. I think everybody would find that very interesting.
Dariush, you go first.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
You hear me. I started at age 10 with a master musician of Iran, Abul Hassan Sabah. My father was familiar with Persian music. He was playing drum and singing too, and knows all of the radif of Persian music. My aunt and uncle and grandma and grandpa, all they were musicians. So then I started with the Abul Hassan Sabah for 7 years and continued with that. So then after that, I went to University of Tabriz and I was teaching in the School of Music for 7 years there. So, and we had a lot of performances in Iran. And then I came to United States and continued to research and advance my knowledge of music, including when I was working with Reza Vali, learning from him as well. We had in Carnegie Mellon University several classes with the student, and I enjoyed, learning from Reza for different part of our music. So then we have been performing with the different quartet and different programs. I played in Carnegie Hall with Mohammad Reza Lotfi. I went in Kennedy Center and several concerts in Ohio with Carpe Diem, with Cuatro Puntos, as well as different Persian musician performances. So I am very involved in the Persian music, still learning and practicing and trying to challenge this instrument, which seems to be very simple, but mastering the instrument is not an easy task. And when you heard that sound from the performance today, I thought the sound was really good with the wooden mallet, with the instrument, really a lot of music comes out. So that was my background.
Thank you so much. And Reza?
Well, I was born in Qazvin, and then my family moved to Tehran in early 60s. So in mid 60s, I went to the Tehran Conservatory of Music. And in Tehran Conservatory of Music, only Western music was taught. And so I was not familiar with Persian music at all. Then I went to Europe. I was accepted at the Academy of Music in Vienna. I went and did the audition and was accepted. So I went to Vienna and studied. I studied composition and music education. And after graduating from the Academy of Music of Vienna, I had a scholarship to come to United States. And I studied at the University of Pittsburgh. I studied music theory and composition, and graduated in 1985. Taught for 3 years at the University of Pittsburgh, and then I was hired by Carnegie Mellon University, which is right on the other side of the street. So I had to move across the street to Carnegie Mellon, and I've been teaching in Carnegie Mellon since 1988. From very early, I was doing collecting folk music. I'm not a musicologist. Just for my because I love folk music, especially Iranian. I love all kind of music, but especially folk music. So during my research, I found that there are actually connection between folk music in Iran. No matter where this is a vast country, from the north to south to to east to west. They all related, and I was wondering why. It's like they were children of the same mother, and because the structural elements of all Iranian folk music, they were all connected. Then I was just curious to see who this mother is, and I discovered that the mother is the Iranian system. It's called the Dastgâh-Magham, and it kind of blew my mind when I started studying this system, and I realized that this is one of the most complex and most advanced music system in the world. And I knew very little about it. I just, like a maniac, I started learning the music. And I am very, very lucky that a great master of Persian music lives in Pittsburgh. Dr. Saghafi, I am his student. And I learned so much from Dr. Saghafi. And because I couldn't play an Iranian instrument, I actually invented my own instrument. It's a keyboard. It's called Arghanun. And I'm not going to get into it, but it actually I cheated. I made a shortcut to learn, the system very, fast, because it takes like 15 to, it takes 30 years to really learn the system. And I was in a hurry. Let's put it this way. So in 2000, I completely moved away from the European system, and just put it aside. And that means the tuning, the form, the polyphony, everything that you actually learn in the school, I just put it aside. And I started from the scratch, writing music that is based on Iranian system. And, every element of the music is actually derived from the Iranian system. A piece that you heard, every note of it, even the ones that sound kind of Western and that sound atonal, they're all derived from the Iranian system, because it's a really incredibly vast system, and you can actually create any material for the composer. You can create any material you want. What I'm doing now is I'm working. I did this series of pieces based of Iranian system, the Calligraphy Number 18 you just heard. I'm now doing research on Iranian medieval music of the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th century, which is amazingly advanced music. And my recent music is very much based on the modes of the medieval, Persian music. That includes my string quartet number 4 called Ormavi, in honor of a great musician and master of Persian music, Safiuddin Ormavi. And then the next one, string quartet number 5, is called Gavasht, which is all based on the medieval modes of Persian and Middle Eastern music.
And it's a good time to add in there that your string quartet number 4, Ormavi, is on our album Sounds of Persia, which we're celebrating the release of today. So on that album, we've got Cuatro Puntos Ensemble has been working with Reza and Dariush for several years now, and we did one album of music called Jaipur to Cairo that includes several of Reza's music, and then in 2019 we did one with both Dariush and Reza. It includes another beautiful improvisation by Dariush, like you heard today. Includes Reza's Ormavi string quartet number 4, and also another piece that includes both the quartet and Dariush playing together. Do you want to say just a bit about that piece?
Are you asking me or are you asking Dariush?
Either of you.
Well, this piece called Ashub, and I wrote it for Dr. Saghafi, and is for santoor and string quartet, and it's based on a genre in Persian music called reng. Reng is a kind of dance-like piece that's usually is in 6/8, and it always performed at the end of a concert, because it's very upbeat, and the idea is that the audience should leave the concert in a very good mood, and so reng has that function, and so there is the reng, the traditional reng is very long. It has 12 sections, and it's called shahrashub. Shahrashub means means I will find a good translation for that. It's like when you set an entire city into a turmoil because of your art. It's so anyway. So, and that's what it's called. But I took the last kind of a section of the reng and made it to a piece, and then there is an improvisation in the middle of that in a gushe called Qatar, and so the string quartet really kind of accompanies santoor, and also does make a polyphonic movement around the santoor. It's kind of a dialogue between the string quartet and the santoor, and also dialogue between two worlds, really, like the Iranian world and the European Western world. It's a kind of a how should I say? It's kind of an intercultural piece. So, Dariush, if you have any addition, please, and comments.
I think, as you said, the combination of that piece and your innovation, combining Qatar as improvisation, and then Gushe Araq and Qarai, to combine all of them together, it brings a fascinating piece for both string quartet and santoor. And I am glad that you did it for me and for us. The recordings are available. We have had performing that in several locations. Is just a fantastic piece. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
And I love.
By the way, Ashub, I just found the good translation for that. Means excitement. Excitement.
Yes.
I mean, it has several meanings, but in this context, means excitement. So it means excitement in the city, so that a music actually create entire city to become excited.
It is an exciting piece, and it also excites me that in your description, you probably didn't even realize it, but you used all of the words in Cuatro Puntos mission statement. You said intercultural dialogue, which is the whole point of our organization. So Ashub is a great example of that. So we have people actually tuning in today from all over the world. I asked in the chat, a couple people chimed in. I'm sure there's lots more people that might still chime in, but we have people from England, from Colombia, from Canada, from, of course, Iran, from Iraq, and then the US, from Connecticut, Virginia, and I'm sure many other places. So it's cool to, have, although, it's in many ways difficult to have virtual events. It's so cool that we can at least have people from all over the world joining us at the click of a button. So we have some questions from people from around the world, and I have some complex questions here about the music, but also some questions, a simple question that I want to start with for Dariush. And I'm going to put them up on the screen like this. So Marcia says, it must be quite a job to tune an instrument that has that many strings. How long does it take, and how often do you have to do it?
It is true, 72 strings. It depends really what I have discovered, that if you keep the santoor in a place with the climate doesn't change much, you to challenge the tuning. So my own santoor, which is made by the master of Persian santoor player, it keeps the tuning extremely well. So it may be a few seconds here and there, one this and that, but if you keep the instrument in an area which the temperature doesn't change too much, it is not too difficult. Of course, at the beginning is a challenge, but when we go forward and we master the instrument and playing, the tuning is not an issue for me, at least, and a lot of other master musicians of santoor.
Yeah, I remember when we were playing live, we did 7 concerts together in Connecticut in 2019. And then, of course, we came to Pittsburgh for that concert, too. And I
yes.
always remember that you were so quick at tuning all those strings. It takes me forever to tune 4 strings on the viola, so 72 is
well, very comfortable with the playing. So I really have to say something. The people that they tune their instruments, no matter what kind it is, at the stage, it really is not too pleasant for the listener. I have been to so many concerts. You know, some players, they just keep tuning and tuning and tuning, and really gets the mood out of the audiences. So I have been very careful on that and trying to achieve the mastership. So hopefully, quickly, as you said, that we can sit down and play without any interruption.
Great. So another santoor-related question. Is there a direct relationship between the santoor and the canon? Is that how we say it?
Qanun or?
Qanun? Yeah.
Qanun?
Yes. Correct.
Well, they have some similarity. Qanun is played by fingers. This is a mallet, and the strings are guts in Qanun. Here is metal. So there are many differences, but may look similar for some people. And then, yeah, they have playing with the fingers rather than the mallet. So that's the difference. So they have a direct touch with their instrument. We don't. That barrier, you have to overcome that. And you heard that how really kind of smooth was the percussion of the mallet to the instrument when I played. So there are some differences, but it could be some similarity too.
Very interesting. Cool. So here's one that I think we all wonder: what are actually the notes of the Dashti mode? And this is from Cynthia. She said she hears a lot of flat 7 and flat 2. Maybe that's hearing it in a Western ear, but
well, it's completely different from the Western, but the most closest that we come, and I would count the notes from the mode that is used in this piece, because you can actually play the mode in different, in different transpositions. But this transposition is in A. So it's A, B actually a microtone lower, C, D, and E, and then the E, the fifth of the pentachord, very often actually comes down a microtone lower, okay? And so it's constantly kind of move back and forth between E and microtone E lower, and then F and G. Just a very quick note that Persian music is not based, the Persian Dastgâh, system is not based on a scale, is based on tetrachord and pentachords, and it's very flexible. And so if you ask the old masters to play on a scale, they didn't know what you're talking about. So it's a completely different system from the either the classical European, classical romantic European system, or even before that, the Renaissance and Baroque system. It's different. The only very similarity would be to the medieval music of Europe, which is very closely related to the music of North Africa and Middle East, and as a result also to the music of Persian music.
Interesting. I didn't know myself that it wasn't based on scales, so I learned something every day. Behnam asks if ashub has anything to do with wedding ceremonies.
You know, I think Dr. Saghafi should answer this, because I don't know really. I mean, this is a very, very
at wedding ceremonies, but really is a part of traditional radif, which is basically for the performances, not played much in the wedding ceremony.
So here's a good question from our good friend Amin in Iraq. What does the music mean to you, and how does it affect your personality, the music that you played or wrote today? What is its personal meaning to you?
Dariush, why
is that for me?
Either.
All of us.
Open discussion.
Well, music, if I can say that, you know, really enrich your life, improve your mental, physical ability, and is a kind of fulfillment that if you're involved with it, the meaning of that is so intense and precious. There is no substitute. So that's what I feel about the music. It fulfills your life, your relation and understanding. And when you sit down in a concert or play and you concentrate, it is a kind of joy and fulfillment that has no other substitute. That's for me.
And Reza?
You know, beauty, you know, music, the concept for me, there are the feeling, the emotion of music, and the beauty of the music is the most important. You know, it just reminded, I just was thinking of a great Persian poet. His name is Shafi'i Katagani. He's a modern poet, and he has a poem, and he says that it is the beauty that is the salvation of the human and the earth. And I say in the Persian because it's very beautiful in Persian. It says, زیبایی است که رستگاری انسان خاک خواهد شد. It's the beauty that connects the human in the music, and it's because music is so human that it just doesn't have any boundaries, so that you actually float, you become one. The entire humanity in music becomes one. And so I think this is a very important thing for us, and it's and also the emotion, that because it doesn't matter who you are, when you hear the music, it actually creates an enormous emotion in you. Whether you hear a Persian music, or you hear Chinese music, or you hear, music of Chopin, or you hear, Brahms, doesn't matter. It's just that emotion that it creates that is just overwhelming. And that's why we love music, really.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, I have a question myself for Dariush, and this relates especially to, I'm really curious to hear from you, because I don't know if people know that in addition to you being, one of the great masters of santoor in the world, you're also a practicing doctor, nephrologist, who, has an amazing career there too, which is quite amazing. So I'm wondering, and it's always a thought I've been thinking about, is how does music in general affect our health, like as a either as a player or as, you know, a consumer of music? Like, what is the relationship between physical health and music?
It can improve the physical and mental health altogether. There are music therapy for different kind of illnesses, which, you know, they are using it. You know, it improves the mental ability of the older people. They go to nursing home and they play music. So improves the patient or person, you know, understanding of the being well. It works like kind of medication that is so natural without any major side effect, because most of the medication which is used, especially the chemicals, which is used more and more, has a lot of kind of morbidity and side effects. Music only improves the patient mental and physical ability without any kind of major disadvantages. So that's what it does for the people.
Wow, beautiful. Yeah, when I work with Cuatro Puntos, we're always thinking about that, especially when we work with our homeless choir and such. You know, how it affects, you know, mental and physical health. So here's another question that came. This is from Rodolfo in Colombia. It said, could Reza talk a bit about heterophony in his compositions, especially coming from a Western music education in which polyphony and tends to dominate? Polyphony and homophony tend to dominate.
Well, Iranian music, it has its own special polyphony. It's a very technical, you know, very technical discussion. I just a book is in Persian, actually, is being published in Iran. It's my book, and I'm hoping to translate it to English and discuss it. And it just talks about the concept of polyphony and how this concept, you know, is interpreted throughout the music in around the world. You know, from a scientific concept, from the concept of acoustic and psychoacoustic and cognition, all music is polyphonic music. So it's not just European music. European music is only one, actually one, you know, one of this, you know, incredible, you know, vast, you know, polyphonic music. You know, this. So the concept in Iranian music is it's very simple, but it's also quite complex. It's simple because it starts with the very simple concept, you know, acoustical concept, which we call delay. And simply said is when two masters are performing, they know what they are performing. They're not playing from the notes and so on. They are performing, you know, they're improvising. And this actually most of the time occurs in a section in Persian performance, which we call avaz, which is improvisation section. So when the master starts singing, the master who is performing and accompanying the singing master doesn't know. I mean, they know what mode they are playing, but the master who is accompanies does not know exactly what the singing master will sing. So he has to wait and listen to him, and then imitate what he's singing. So this delay, in my own, you know, research, is between 2 and 4 seconds. So it takes 2 seconds from the start of the improvisation of the singing master and the answer of the accompanying instrumental master is about 2-second delay. Okay, because he has to listen, he has to wait and listen, and then imitate what he's singing. That creates an amazing type of polyphony, which I call it, which I have a name for it. It's called horizontal. Okay, it's called horizontal polyphony, horizontal implicit polyphony of Middle Eastern type. And I think this is the much clearer definition of this type of polyphony than heterophony, because heterophony is a really vague idea. Music of all over the world is called heterophony. When I was studying this, it has became a very big question for me. What is heterophony? Music of gamelan music, the music of Southeast Asia, music of India, music of Iran, every music that is not, European polyphony is called heterophony. So it's just a vague idea. So it's time that we actually go back and look at the music of the world with actually a very clear and pluralistic view. And based on science, really. The science of sound. And so therefore, the spectrum of polyphony is as big as the circumference of the earth. That means you have many different type of polyphony around the world. And very important is that many of them are actually oral traditions. European polyphonic music is one of the very few music that has rules and is written down. So the rest of the polyphony of the world is A, oral tradition, B, it might not be written down. That does not mean that it's not polyphony. So from this very complex issue, we are coming back to the idea of Iranian polyphony. Iranian music is polyphonic music. It's not heterophonic. At least I don't believe it's heterophonic. It's polyphonic. And this polyphony is very subtle. And it is an implicit polyphony. So at the hand of the master or at the hand of a composer, this polyphony can become from the implicit, a stage to an explicit stage. And I see that as a composer, my job to actually create music that bring Iranian polyphony from an implicit stage, unconscious stage, to the explicit stage. And, many of my music since 2000 has been, following this polyphonic, this polyphony, which I believe is an Iranian polyphony. Iranian Middle Eastern polyphony, because you can actually see that also in the music of the other part of Middle East, like in the taqsim, when the two musicians are improvising with each other, in the Turkish and also the culture of Arabic speaking, cultures, it's called in that music is called taqsim, and it's very similar to Iranian music. And so music of Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, North Africa, etc. I hope I'm sorry, this is very technical. I didn't want to go to the technical aspect of it, but it's we had to do it to explain what it is.
I think we have a lot of musicians watching who are curious. So thanks so much for that explanation. So we have one last question that just came up from Camilo, who's also in Pittsburgh, originally from Colombia, now living in Pittsburgh. And he would like to know, well, here I can put it up, if there is any relationship between Persian music and traditional native Latin music coming from the Spanish conquest.
Yes, definitely. Because you see, at one time, the Dastgâh-Magham system, the DM, the Magham system, because Dastgâh, Persian music, let me give you just very short explanation. Persian music is a very unique, really, in Middle East and also Near East, because it's a music. The traditional music of Iran is not one system; it's two systems. One is a little bit younger. It's called Dastgâh, and it actually started from the early 19th century, early 19th century, late 18th century, beginning of 19th century. It's called Dastgâh. The older system is called Maqam, and it actually starts from the 8th century, and both systems relate to another even older system called Dastan, which was evolved during the Persian Empire in the Sassanid Empire during the 3rd and 4th, in the 2nd and 4th century AD. And some music historians believe that this is this system that actually kind of expanded and then went through through the North Africa and and the Middle East, okay, during a period between 8th to 18th century. But music in entire Middle East and North Africa and southern Spain was actually an international system. It's called the Maqam. What you played in Cairo, let's say, and what you played in Cordoba, and what you played in Rabat, and what you played in Isfahan, and what you played in Istanbul, they were all related with each other, like European music from the 18th century, like English music and French and German music and so on from 18th century. They're all very related. It's an international music. That international music was also in North Africa, south of Spain, and in Iran. As a result, the south of Spain, from a period between 8th to the 15th century, were directly actually influenced by music of North Africa, by the Maqam system. And so many of the music, especially that you can find in Sephardic music, in the music of early century, like Cantiga Santa Maria, beautiful, songs of the medieval music, they all have a very much connection to the Middle East, music of Middle East, and as a result, to the music of Persian music. Now, when the conqueror came and they brought this music, to Spain, when they from the Spain came and took over all that, Central America and from Portugal and Spain, they actually brought some of this music with them. And so, music of Latin America, all of Latin America indeed has a lot of connection with Persian music. Sorry for this, long, but I have to do this because otherwise, it would not be clear why they are related.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, thanks. And this comment from Camilo is a great wrap up for the program and a lead into our next one, because Camilo is actually one of our guest artists for the next program. And it's an interesting thread between all of us here, because my original, of course, delve into music of the Middle East and particularly Persian music was when I was living in Afghanistan, and Camilo was the orchestra director there before me. So he had that job before I did. And now, he and I are good friends, and he is, was originally from Colombia, but then more recently moved to the US and is in Pittsburgh. And now he'll be coming in April, on April 11th, to do our next concert, along with another musician. So he's our next guest artist. So those who are watching, you're welcome to sign up there. And also, I think he asked this question because on April 6th, he is doing a talk on how the Spanish conquest affected music of Latin America. So you can sign up on cuatropuntos.org to hear Camilo's talk about music of the Spanish conquest, effect of the Spanish conquest on music of Latin America, for April 6th, and then the live concert between him and Alejandro Pinzon and Cuatro Puntos Ensemble, which will take place on April 11th. The signups are all available. I want to say a big thank you to Reza and Dariush for joining us today. And I want to say that everyone is welcome to share this broadcast. The same link, this digital concert hall link, will remain live at all times. You can watch the replay at any time. You can share it with anyone who might want to listen. I did get some emails and comments today from people who signed up and said, oh, it's 4 a.m. in my time zone. Can I watch later? Of course, you can share this and rewatch as much as you like. We'll also be posting the videos of just the musical performances that can be shared and found on the Cuatro Puntos YouTube page. So there's lots of opportunity to continue to interact with this music, as well as if you would like to really be a wholehearted supporter of the musicians, you can pre-order the album of Sounds of Persia. And I'm going to sign off by leaving you with some music from the Sounds of Persia album. So you're welcome to, the video will go off, but if you want to stay on this page and listen to some music, some more music by Dariush that is from our upcoming album that's being released, you're welcome to listen to some more beautiful santoor music for the next 10 minutes or so until we sign off completely. So thank you so much to both of you for being here and for joining us and for all the work we've done over the last few years.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you for all your effort and work. Thanks very much.
Yes, I'm sure we will see each other again soon, hopefully in person. So bye for now, and
Bye.